so many new pieces to this IU football team.
To me, that's going to set the tone on how you get ready for games on Saturday in the fall.
I would put that Indiana room up against anybody else in the conference, and that's something that we typically don't even come close to saying.
If you want to get total sickos committee about it, there's a position battle at long snapper too.
This is the Hoosier Huddle Podcast, part of the College Huddle Podcast Network.
Good evening and welcome to the Hoosier Huddle Podcast. My name is Sammy Jacobs. Along with me is Alex Compton, and we're here for After the Dust Settles on Indiana's 31-7 win over Florida International in the season opener of the Kirk Cignetti era as well. Indiana moves to 1-0. They'll face Western Illinois on Friday night next week at 7 p.m. at Memorial Stadium. Alex, you were down in Bloomington Friday and Saturday and at the game on Saturday. How are you doing? How are you feeling? And have you rehydrated?
Yeah, it was hot. So I'll cut the students a little bit of slack. Still sucks that so many left at halftime, but it was really, really, really hot. And for me, normally I don't ever complain or get worn down by it, but I did. I started to feel it a little bit, honestly. And we were kind of sitting under the press box. We had the shade in the second half, which was nice. But yeah, it was really hot. Good environment overall, though. You could tell, and we'll talk more about it a little bit later, but you could tell there was a lot of emphasis on trying new things. And I thought overall, game day experience much improved from last year. Lots of new things they tried. And yeah, I would say just the crowd was kind of the worst part about the game for me. Everybody can complain about the student section as much as they want. But you can't really rip on the public or the alums, whatever, for leaving at halftime because none of them came for the start of the game. So rip on the student section as much as you want, but when you have about 15,000 general public seats that are open, who are you kind of pointing the finger at? I'm not pointing it at the student section. I would point the blame more at, the people that complained and moaned and whined for years and years about we need new concession items and we want Buffalo Louie's and we want a tailgate section outside the stadium and we want blah, 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 and a new coach and a blah, blah, blah. And then there you go. And then no one showed up. So, I don't really want to spend the whole time talking about it. I understand most of the people you read or see on Twitter are kind of the diehards that aren't really the ones going to be going to most of the games. But, you can't complain about everything and they make changes and not go. So, and then you can't, blame the students that actually showed up to the game and then left for leaving if you didn't even show up in the first place. So that's all I'll say about that. Saw some other, just morons on Twitter after the game, same old IU, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, how can you, first of all, see that after 4 quarters of a brand new everything? Second of all, we beat Akron in triple overtime last season, and you beat the crap out of a group of 5 team from Florida in a home opener, 31-7. The game was never in question. The game was never in doubt. You were never sweating the outcome of the game like we have so many times in recent years. So for me, overall, A- season opener, result exactly kind of what I was hoping for. You covered a two touchdown and a field goal spread in your home opener with 50 new players and a new coach.
Three touchdown and a field goal.
Yeah, 3 touchdown and a field goal spread in week 1 with an entirely new everything. And besides McCauley, you came out healthy. So I would say that's about as good as you can do in week 1.
Yeah, it was a great week 1. We'll start talking about some of those game day improvements. Basically the chronology of the show will be game day improvements at the beginning of the game. We'll talk about the game itself, and then I'll comment on the fans at the end. But Alex, we went to the walk together. I thought that was, pretty crowded, pretty
Yep.
good. Kirk Signetti was focused heading there, got great photo ops with the players touching the rock, great video of Signetti touching the rock.
Yep.
The walk is still one of my favorite things to do. I think it's a great way to engage with the fans, get prepared for game day, and things like that. And then we headed over to B-Town Boulevard, and I I think, there are small improvements that need to be made, but I think they did a great job with it.
Yep.
It's over on Miller Plaza on the south end zone.
Yep.
They had a huge tent up. They had couches, picnic tables, tables. They had a couple food trucks and chocolate mousse. They could use a couple more food trucks just to ease the congestion on the lines there, and another bar. But overall, the band added to the atmosphere. It felt like there was an event going on.
Yeah.
Where in the past, you'd walk up to the stadium and you'd say, okay, there are some cars, but like, what's going on today? So I think IU did a very good job there.
Yeah. I had a
you
great.
got-
I popped in there a little bit. I was pounding Hoosier game day lagers in the B-Town Boulevard for a little while. Good setup. Line for the bar in there was never really long. Bringing on a professional operation like Levy, I think, has its advantages, and I think you saw a lot of those. And I can talk a little bit more about concessions and what I saw inside a little bit later, because I do want to get into the game. But yeah, I thought B-Town Boulevard, for again a brand new thing, thought overall really really well done. So I thought that was great. It was pretty crowded when I was in there, which was good to see. So clearly something that people wanted and were looking forward to. So I'd encourage anybody watching or listening to this right now, if you don't have a parking spot, or on your way into the stadium, leaving your tailgate spot or whatever, like definitely check it out. Free, like totally free to just walk around. Like, you didn't have to pay to go into the bar. Obviously you had to pay for a beer, but so yeah, it was great. Had a great time.
Yeah, let's get to the game. I thought Indiana dominated. Now it kind of didn't go as expected. And the score, you had a backdoor cover there with a long touchdown run by Elijah Green. But, IU, I think there was a time where they doubled time of possession. They were doing whatever they wanted on offense in the first half. They jumped out to 21-0 lead. They got multiple running backs in. Curtis Rourke looked sharp. For the most part, it's still a little rusty, but he made some good throws. Little downside was receivers got to catch the ball, but there was innovation on the offense. You saw Zach Horton's touchdown. They ran the same play twice in a row because it was wide open.
Yeah.
You saw the reverse with Miles Price. You saw
Yep.
that they had a nice wide receiver pass that was wide open, and the ball must have been like a bar of soap.
A lot of funny about that. Yeah, he had a good bite about that at the end of the game. It was funny, or in the post game. But yeah, he running back toss, pass, totally threw it about 15 yards short. So, but
one
yeah,
of those you let go of it and you go, uh-oh.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that would have been me after having some game day loggers trying to throw that one, I think. But yeah, that was cool. I think one of my favorite plays of the game probably was that kind of misdirection pocket where they hit Horton coming back across the field, kind of like a misdirection throw in the red zone. That was great. Horton looked great. I mean, he all over the field on offense, terrific in the run game, just a terrific blocker. You saw him pulling across the line. You saw him in motion. He didn't have a ton of catches, but he was out there a ton. He's on kick coverage. He's on the punt team. So he seems like one of those guys, that is a key cog, I think, to the overall operation of the team. But yeah, I thought he definitely flashed as one of those guys that they brought in for sure.
Yeah, I thought the offensive line played pretty well too. Might have struggled in pass protection a little bit outside of Carter Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead on that.
Yeah, I said like the first probably five or six drives, I thought they did a really, really good job offensive line, both in the run game, and I thought the pockets for Rourke were terrific, and he was able to stand in there. You could tell he was, a veteran because he wasn't, his eyes were downfield the whole time. Rourke wasn't really, trying to pull the ball down, trying to run around, trying to scramble. Like he was staying in the pockets, looking around, getting to different reads, which is good. So, yeah, I thought overall offensive line was really, really good. Obviously, you have a bunch of new starters, so like Bray Lynch at left guard, and then Drew Evans, Wisconsin transfer at right guard. Guys pretty much getting their first like real tastes of college football. I thought they did pretty well. I thought Florida International kind of adjusted at halftime. They started bringing more pressure off of the edge, particularly the right side, with Trey Weddich, and that's the Drew Evans side at right guard there. I think that's where you saw some problems. And when they got a lot of heat on Rourke, especially in that third quarter, I think it was a result of kind of edge blitzes. So I think they did a pretty good job overall. Clean front wise, if there were no disguises, no stunts, I think they did pretty well. If they brought pressure kind of up the middle at Mike Kadich, I thought they did a good job adjusting and picking that stuff up. Kalon Black I think he only had one carry, but he was good in pass pro. Yeah, so I think offensive line, if that's going to be your floor this season, I think that's a great place to start. So I would say much improved from where we've been. And I think as you kind of continue to build chemistry with some of these guys, should kind of continue to tick up. So overall, very encouraging. Carter Smith, I think, one of our contributors said he was ranked 4th in the country for offensive tackles yesterday. No pressures, no hurries, no sacks at left tackle. So he kind of graded out as the 4th best offensive tackle in pass protection yesterday. So that was great. And obviously, like we talked about in the offseason, getting him out of the portal, coming back out of the portal was huge. So he looked the part. I thought overall, running backs had lanes to hit, and I thought they also had lanes to bounce back into. And I think you saw that with all 3 backs. There were holes, and then they could also cut it upfield when they needed.
Yeah, I believe they had 9 runs of over 10 yards, including that 51 or 52-yard run by Elijah Green on that last touchdown.
Yeah.
But it looked like IU was maybe one slip tackle away from getting more like longer runs in the secondary. The offensive line cleared out, the front 7 pretty well, and just that to me, they dominated the game. That was what you wanted to do: control the clock, control the pace of the game, and get a comfortable win, get out of there relatively healthy. It looks like Cignetti said Donovan McCulley wasn't cleared to return to play. He took a hit to the head,
Yep.
which speculating is he's probably in concussion protocol. I would expect him to be held out on Friday since they're playing Western Illinois. But yeah, the pass game, wide receivers, Miles Cross had an insane catch in traffic.
That was great.
A great catch. Miles Price, they got him the ball in space. I would have liked to see more. Elijah Surratt, Omar Cooper looked good. But this is what this wide receiver room is going to be like. It's going to be by committee. It doesn't seem like one guy is going to get those 12 targets and 150 yards. It's going to be whoever's open, we're going to hit them. So they need to work on catching the ball a little bit more. I thought Anderson Kobe missed that long pass. Same with Miles Price. And then, Omar Cooper had a drop or two too. But overall, again, very solid opening for a program that had, it took a missed field goal to beat Akron, like you said, in triple overtime last year. And now you're comfortably winning against a team who's very comparable to Akron from last year. So let's move to the defensive side of the ball. And IU has 2 just dudes at linebacker, and Jalen Walker and Aiden Fisher. They're flying around. Jalen Walker showed you why he was on Stuart Mandel's freaks list heading into the season. Super fast, quick to the ball, makes tackles. Aiden Fisher set the tone with 2 tackles for loss early. Really should have got called for a bad penalty. Like, not the penalty itself wasn't bad, the call was bad. absolute clean hit on the quarterback. But
He hit him too hard, Sammy. It was personal foul for being too physical. He hit him too squarely on the shoulder pads. It was, it just really hurt him. So, you have to throw the flag there. So,
yeah. Well, you said I think the fans leaving at halftime was the worst part of the game. I disagree. I think the officials were the worst part of the
yeah,
game.
they were pretty bad. They were pretty bad.
I mean, they're reviewing spots that shouldn't need to be reviewed and ruling passes complete that were clearly incomplete. Timing issues. Just you want to know why fans get bored and leave. That's one of the reasons. It's these multiple minute reviews for stuff that you're like, why are we reviewing this? But yeah, defense played well. You had Amari Farrell, your guy, with his first career interception off a tip by Jameer Johnson. Defensive line played well. You saw Andrew Turvey, a walk-on, get in. The rotations on defense were a little surprising. You didn't see JMF until the second half. There were some other guys. I think Terry Jones didn't play as much, but he might have gotten dinged up too.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
Nick Toomer. Nick Toomer didn't get in there until later.
Yeah, Toomer got in with I think 2 minutes left after the last two drives. I think for FIU, Toomer got in. Yeah, I would say a. I'm gonna give Brian Haynes an A for his debut there. Limited. I think they were under 200 yards of total offense. They had 13 first downs. Indiana had 23. 53 yards rushing net. So, 129 net passing yards.
Outside of
you guys, they averaged 3 yards a play. So the people complaining, that drive they scored on at the end of the first half, they definitely looked a little sluggish. They looked a little tired, up 21-0. It kind of, the first half was fast and physical. It was not relentless. And those are the three things that Coach Sig is trying to instill. So I think the interview going into the locker room after the first half, I think that's why he was so kind of ticked off, was that was not a very relentless finish to that first half. But the defense was outstanding. And it was on Ken Bykoff's, I listened to it this morning, his post-game show. IU gave up one chunk play on defense yesterday. A chunk play is a 10-yard rush or 15-yard pass. They gave up a 21-yard rush or something with 40 seconds left in the game. So that's outstanding. And we talked, and I think it was one of my keys, although I don't remember. But for me, success on defense early in the season, you have to show that you are in the right places and able to make kind of the consistent plays. And I thought Indiana did a really great job of that yesterday. You saw outstanding open field tackling. You saw secondary players and linebackers in the right spot in terms of angles and coverage. No one was overplaying balls. Nobody was taking terrible routes to ball carriers. Guys were flying around to the ball. So I thought it was outstanding. You didn't have any coverage busts. You didn't have any crazy penalties on defense. You didn't have, I guess, the stuff we've been used to seeing of just consistent mental lapses, mental breakdowns, and just handing offenses yardage and points and field position. You didn't see that on Saturday. And again, for a team with so many new guys that did not really tackle a lot in camp,
did not tackle at all, according to the radio broadcast.
They just kind of thudded, or whatever he said, which is basically wrapping up. That was just outstanding. And I was incredibly encouraged by what I saw from the defense yesterday. And, Brian Haynes at just A+, ace to the debut in my mind. It was outstanding.
Yeah, the defense was outstanding. I was really shocked when Don said on the radio broadcast that they did not tackle at all in fall camp. Now, we know they didn't tackle at all in the spring, outside of the spring game. Yeah. So you're kind of used to it. So,
they were, a couple other, I'm looking at the box score, and I just, they were FIU was 4 of 13 on third down, 1 of 4 on fourth down. And again, they they really had to work for positive plays of 5 yards. I mean, they just easy yardage, easy plays. That was not a thing yesterday, and it was really encouraging.
Yeah, the operation seemed to run a lot better. In the second half, it did get a little sloppy. Had a weird delay of game
Yeah,
penalty, but and then a bunch of penalties on offense, but no, coming out on the kickoff late or needing to substitute late. And I think maybe that has to do with the helmet communications on defense, but there was no running 4 linemen on with
yeah,
15 seconds left on the play clock. People are set, ready to go. The offense shifted. Defense shifted right with them when needed to. I thought the operation on special teams was fine.
yep, yeah.
Really, so McCormick 6 touchbacks.
Yeah,
Radicic
honestly, 6 for 6 on touchbacks for McCormick.
Yeah, Radicic kicked the ball well. I really would have liked to see him kick that
Yeah,
long field goal in the fourth quarter,
yep,
but I understand. I think Sig was trying to stick it to Mike McIntyre for taking those late timeouts and going for it on fourth down when the game is essentially over. And then James Evans, a little inconsistent, had that one tail dragger of a punt, but overall 42-yard average. Had a real nice sideline punt on a second punt, flipped the
yep,
field on his first punt of the game. So, you know what you get there. So
yeah,
overall, the game, it might not have been as sexy as people wanted. But IU, looking back on it, IU dominated that game.
yep,
And,
absolutely.
it's nice saying, hey, IU played well and won, and saying, oh, they did some good stuff and lost because they turned the ball over or blew an assignment on defense and stuff like that.
Yeah, the word I kept using watching the game yesterday, it was just incredibly like competent. Like everyone looked like they knew where they were supposed to be. They looked like they knew what they were supposed to be doing. The play calls on both sides of the ball made sense. Just overall very solid. Obviously, the penalties in offense, a thing you'll have to clean up. I don't hate that you had penalties. I think definitely something you'll coach up and work on. But yeah,
No, I think
like
secretly,
this is boring or whatever.
secretly, Signetti's kind of happy that they had a sloppy second half.
Yeah,
That means you could coach this week, saying, "Hey, we weren't good enough in the second half," and then heading into Western Illinois. So, any final thoughts on this game before we put it to rest?
yeah. I mean, I could talk a while on it, honestly. Yeah, I think just overall very solid and sound. And for an off season with a ton of change, a lot of uncertainty heading into week one of a whole new everything, really. It was great. It was great. And I saw some like, oh, it was boring. It was vanilla. Like, yeah, whatever. It was effective and competent. And if boring is going to be covering a 23-point spread every week, that's fine with me. I'll take that every week. So,
Would you rather it
did
be
they run
exciting?
700 different plays on offense? No. Was it Indiana chaos factory like you're used to every week? No. And it was really nice, and I had a great time watching the game. And I know we'll get into the game day in a second here, but yeah, really, I guess solid and promising overall. You stayed healthy. Besides that, McCulley kind of knee, helmet, whatever to the head, which of course they didn't review. They reviewed everything else, but not the one that gave our guy a concussion. So yeah, just incredibly just competent. I liked the attitude on the sideline from what I was watching.
It seemed to me that there
Just
were
very business.
fewer people on the
Yeah,
sideline for Indiana. Now, it could have been an optical illusion that they're spread out more, but never did you see Tom Allen's staff coaches standing alone. There was a time Signetti nobody was within 30 yards of him, and it
yeah,
was probably because there was a couple penalties in a row. And if
yeah.
somebody was
He
within
was just
30 yards of him,
yeah,
he might have murdered
really
them.
got fearful. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, it was great. Other kind of random ones to me that we've been complaining about and wanting to see, but after that, 5 or 6 minute mark in the fourth quarter, it was kind of a mass substitution on both sides of the ball. So
Yep.
you got a lot of new guys in the game. Mario Landino, true freshman, who's a James Madison commit, made a nice play. He was also in on the field goal unit, which was interesting, and extra points. I think he's one that may not redshirt, honestly. But he had a nice play. Elijah Hardy at linebacker, who we thought was kind of just a throw-in guy, was one of the ones in that second unit.
Andrew
Turvey had a couple really nice plays. He had a sack. IU had 4 sacks total, 8 tackles for loss, and that interception. So they won the turnover battle. Rourke did not make any oh my God, what was that kind of throws, which is great to see. Very confident, very poised. I think he'll only get better here as the season goes on. But yeah, and that Elijah Green route, I mean, he looked really fast. They might be easing him in because he missed some time at North Carolina. But on that run, my favorite part about that run, you had Austin Barrett at right tackle, you had Austin Liebfried, a true freshman, at right guard, and then you had the in-state guy, I'm going to butcher his name, but Adam Majoli or whatever, at left guard. So you had
Tyler Stevens was at center.
Yeah, he snapped that one about 40 yards over Taven's head, but little jitters there. But yeah, so I mean, you had 3, 2 true freshmen, and I think Barrett's a redshirt freshman, right? On that long touchdown run, that's what you need to do, and that was great to see. Jeff Utzinger got in. Isaiah Jones was kind of the sub linebacker. So one wrinkle I really liked on defense, a couple, but defensive line, I think they showed that they'll go big and they'll go small. I thought that was kind of interesting. So Marcus Burris on his sack in the fourth quarter, he was actually at defensive end. So played only tackle last year, but he flexed out onto the edge a little bit. Had a bull rush sack. Kamara played on the inside a little bit.
Although his stats his numbers don't drop off the stat page.
Yeah,
Rewatching the game, he was in the backfield all day.
So was Carpenter. Carpenter was messing plays up on the inside for sure.
Yep, and then Linnell Carr with a nice sack late in the game too. He looks quick, fast.
Yep.
Just ready to create havoc in the backfield.
And then Farrell got that start at the rover position, which is that nickel kind of other fifth DB, whatever. And then on more run scenarios, you saw Farrell kind of drop back to boundary safety. So then it was him and Sanguinetti, or Asbury, whoever was in at the time. And then they brought in Jones. So you kind of went more to a 4-3 then. You went with Fisher, Walker, and Jones at linebacker with just 2 kind of traditional safeties. So I thought that was really cool. Terry Jones came in kind of as a third safety at times for more passing situations. Yeah, Terry Jones didn't play as much as I thought he was gonna, if I'd be honest. I think he was out there on the first drive and then kind of in and out the rest of the game. But yeah, those were a couple wrinkles on defense I really thought were cool. Defensive line, they mixed and matched for the situation. CJ West looked good. And then the linebackers, they either went, bigger on run heavy situations. So you saw him kind of open the second half with that. And then I think Farrell sliding between that rover and safety will be kind of interesting to watch this year.
Yeah. The rotations, I think, were great. Getting young players in, we've been begging for that for a couple years. And then you're going to keep guys fresh, at the running back room. All 3 of the guys who played, and then Kaleon Black is also, you throw him in that group.
Yeah.
They're like clones of each other. You're not losing much or anything at all if somebody else comes in. It really showed on that Elijah Green long run when Florida International was done.
Yeah,
he came in. He came in with fresh legs and just blew by everybody.
Yeah.
So
that's and then underrated play of the game for me, running back room. But that wheel route on 4th down to Justice Ellison, that was a great play, a great catch, and we kind of did.
Throw.
Yeah, he would be the one that would be kind of the pass catching back out of the 4 of them. And that was great. That was great play design. You got exactly the look you wanted. Nice throw. Maybe a little bit more in the field. He would have got some more yards, but you picked up a 4th down with a nice play there. So great catch, great play. That was kind of a sneaky underrated play for me there in that game. So, but again, just overall, just very pleased with what I saw, um, and overall pretty pleased with kind of what I had happen around me at the game too, which I thought was encouraging.
Yeah, let's talk about that in-game experience. You got to go around the concourse. I get to experience the game from the radio booth with the windows open. Pre-game stuff. I love the band having a hype video to
Yeah,
announce them instead of just running onto the field and you're like, oh, there's the band, and stuff like that. The intro video for the team, they need to pick a lane. I think you have potential on either one. Either do a highlight, either do highlights. Love the music choice of Thunderstruck, or film them walking from the locker room to the tunnel. The tunnel walkout, I thought at the start was great. But pick a lane on the video. Yeah, the in-game MC. I know some people are a fan of his. I just felt like I was being yelled at all game.
yeah, I
Is that
yeah.
how it?
I overall I like it. I do think like yeah, he was kind of screaming at points. I think it's fun and I think a plus, but yeah, I think needs to probably be a couple dials cranked back a little bit. Um,
Man,
yeah,
I'd like to see him go
it's a
around
good
the
idea.
state, like
It happens.
stadium, and like have the food item of the game or the shop item of the game. Interview your swimming and diving team who's honored there. You had uh, Trace Jackson Davis was in attendance at the game. Maybe throw him up on the board. For a short interview and stuff like that. But yeah, I just felt like I was being screamed at. But you
Yeah,
know,
I mean it was loud. The t-shirt golf cart was was hilarious. I loved that thing. For those that weren't at the game, they had this like I don't know, like souped up golf cart with this like massive Gatling gun that probably shot like 200 t-shirts out of it. And they just drove around the field and just shot it into like the whole stadium. So that was pretty sweet. I love that thing. Yeah, pregame stuff was good. Agree on the video. I thought I could have gone for like a little more of the guys walking out. I thought that was cool. That really gets you hyped up. The shot of like from the top of the tunnel down to them, like the tops of their helmets. That was really cool. But yeah, the video, like Thunderstruck, I don't need like the movie clips or like the memes and stuff in there. Like I didn't really get that part of it. Um, like there were random clips from like different movies and like
with no sound.
yeah, well, it's like I didn't really I don't think you need it. I would much rather see like and maybe they'll put highlights or something as obviously they didn't have a game yet. Maybe they'll put different stuff in there, but yeah, it was cool. Thunderstruck is cool. Hope Friday night that should be really cool for this game this week. But yeah, overall positive increases or changes. Band I thought sounded much better. They were louder. Um, the stuff they did pregame cool, like the outline of the state of Indiana when they were moving was cool. Um, so yeah, I thought overall good for sure. Just I didn't really get the like random movie clips in the intro video that really have nothing to do with the team.
Yeah, and then we all commented on the fans. It's going to take some time to build that culture, and I think
Yeah,
people are going to have patience. But yeah, it was hot and humid and uncomfortable, and the students stood on that east side of that stadium and just bake, which is unfortunate. But it's a 21-7 game. You're winning, and it just seems like to get people to stay, there has to be an exact. It's got to fall into this exact category of like a one-score game, conference opponent. The weather has to be certain this or that, but I think it's a culture thing,
yeah,
and
it's just
it's
traditions of what they do, and I was a student. It seems like forever ago now, but not really. Like we had the same problems, but
same when I was a student. We had the same
yeah,
problems, but yeah, that carries over to the alumni base. I thought you sat down on the west side. I was up in the press box on the west side. It seemed like they didn't have juice. There's no juice out of the alumni base.
no one around me stood for third down. No one did anything. No one, a lot of like, who's that? What, where's the new coach? That kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's just, and I get it's, a history of whatever and our fan base is whatever, but I'm just sick of the like blaming everything about the student section when if you look at the clips of, pregame and all the photos of the game, which areas were empty, in the first half. It was not the student section, I'll tell you that. And yeah, it was super, super hot. I saw, a woman pass out in the boulevard. So it was super hot. It was super muggy, but I mean, you watch these other games across the country, like, the student section in Gainesville, Florida is not empty for a game that was probably 95 degrees and 95% humidity. The student section at Purdue was not empty yesterday.
Nope, they had 60,000 people at that game.
And so, they were playing Indiana State. So they're like, oh, we're playing a nobody from Florida, whatever. Why would we go to the game? Well, that that stuff matters. And you shouldn't have to have like, your linebacker that transferred in that had 12 tackles and, all things go right, he'll probably end up on an all Big Ten list. Like after the game, the Big Ten network, he shouldn't have to say, we need you to stay for the game. Like, your brand new coach that you paid a boatload of money to come here and change everything. One of the first things he says in his first post-game press conference after you kick the crap out of a team, I wish everybody stayed in the stands. Like
to create a Power 4 atmosphere.
It's, I always say like they do stuff that's like it's like minor league baseball sometimes, and I thought everything yesterday was very much like a high level product in terms of the new concession stands were great. The lines for me were not bad. None of them ran out of anything, and I walk around and I like to test and stress tests and see what isn't working, and just to kind of see. I thought everything was really well done yesterday. And then, it's the same old like, well, they needed more fans in the concourse to keep everybody cold. I'm like, well, you weren't at the game anyway, so I don't really want to hear what you think. So I wish they would try a no pass out game and see the effect it has. I
think it's got to be coming. You cannot let money walk out the door.
Every year, it's just they complain. Oh, there's no good food options. There's no good beer options. There's no good whatever. All those are solved. The halftimes are fun. Like halftime is what 20 minutes. Like it's not like by the time
too long.
By the time you get to the car though, the game's starting. So it's like I was getting had a beer overlooking the west side of the stadium. I'm just watching all these people tailgating again. And I'm like, what are you like? Why did you come here to sit in the parking lot? I don't understand. So I would love to see like, you have to rescan your ticket to get out. And I would love to see the data on like who comes in because they know no one's coming back in once you leave. So I think at least the threat of saying once you're gone would keep more people because the people that are going to leave anyway. So I think they should try it. At this point, it's really frustrating because you get 8 of them. It's not like no one's making you sit outside when it's 10 degrees. Like it's Indiana in the fall. It's generally pretty nice out.
It's not like you're going home to sit in the air conditioning. You're sitting outside in the same heat at your car.
Yeah. So it's, I don't know. I'll never understand it. And you go to all these other games and all these other events and it's not like that. And I think you eliminate pass outs, you try it. I just want to see them try it. Because there's got to be just an attitude shift. Everybody's so soft, and I'm really, really tired of it.
Yeah, I have one more gripe with the fans, and this one really made me mad. Student section got these shirts. I saw a lot of non-student fans run over to the student section, grab the shirt. You can't do that.
Yeah,
you can't do that. I'm sorry. Yeah, they were cool shirts. Yeah, they're there, but they're there for the students.
To help try to change the culture and get them to stay and come to the games. And
try and then to go over there, grab 3 or 4 shirts to bring them back to your people. Look, those shirts are for sale. I tweeted out the link. There's a local company that makes them too. So if you really wanted the shirt, they're like $20. Go get a shirt. Don't steal it from some student who's going with probably their first game at Memorial Stadium, and the first experience they have is, oh, where's the shirt
I
that
didn't know
was
it.
on my seat,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So you know what, shame on you if you did that. That's bush league. But yeah, IU football has those diehard fans. They're there every single day. We appreciate them. That's why we do this, is for them. We just have to grow that base. But yeah, final thoughts on the game, Alex. Again, IU dominated. We're probably not going to learn much this week as Western Illinois comes in. They got um, thumped by Northern Illinois, 58-15. Alex, what did your dad say Western Illinois was?
Boots on the ground. Yeah, we had Hoosier Huddle boots on the ground in DeKalb, Illinois yesterday. So that's how dedicated we are to giving you the best possible coverage of Indiana football. So we had, multiple sets of eyes on the Northern Illinois, Western Illinois game in DeKalb. So go dogs. But yeah, NIU just destroyed Western yesterday. NIU team that was working on a lot of new starters, like most teams, but new starter at quarterback, a couple new O linemen. And yeah, I mean, just absolutely destroyed him. So my dad said he was surprised how like bad they were up close and in person. And one of the comments he had was just, we always talk about body types and how you can just look at recruiting classes over the years and the type of guys you are getting. So like, IU's offensive line versus Ohio State's, or, Alabama's, whatever. But for even the difference from Northern Illinois to Western Illinois, it was like stark, he said, just kind of the difference in body types from a MAC school that went 7-6 last year, to Western Illinois, who might be the worst team in FCS.
They haven't won a game in like 2 years.
Yeah. So, they have a new coaching staff. I'm sure they got a bunch of new players. It's been honestly kind of tough to find stuff on their roster and their team. But yeah, so Northern Illinois just really, really killed them. So yeah, looking ahead to Friday night, right? You got some guys in with about 5 or 6 minutes left in the game on Saturday. This is a game really you need to be over by halftime. This needs to be 100%. Let's see, 3 nice drives from Rourke and the ones, and then let's turn it over to Taven, and then let's see Tyler Cherry for a little bit.
Yep.
And I think health in this game on Friday is the absolute number one for me, like result. I am not, after seeing what I saw on Saturday, I'm not concerned about this game. Like even last year, I was concerned about like Idaho and, if we played Eastern Illinois, like, those would give me concern. After what I saw yesterday, I'm not concerned about the score of this game anymore. But yeah, health is paramount in this one. So you need to wrap this game up by halftime. And then I want to see, some of the guys we saw on Saturday and a whole lot more. Would love to see Cherry. Would love to see Taven like really get a chance to throw the ball. And yeah, let's work out, some of these new receivers. Let's get some of these young upside tight ends in the game. Let's get more of these offensive linemen in the game. Everybody really. I just want to see some new corners. We didn't really rotate a lot of corners in. Let's get some guys in the game. So I think that's what you're really looking at on Friday. Yeah, I would not expect much in the way of like scheme changes or, discovery on Friday. I think this is a lot of like, let's just establish some confidence and then game plan for UCLA. Is that how the staff will view it? I hope not, but I think kind of the pages turn to UCLA in week 3, but yeah, it should be good. Friday night will be interesting. I know people are going to complain about that because it's, for high school football in the, historically awesome high school football state of Indiana. But, they don't really control that. So it'll be Big Ten Network kind of standalone game Friday night, which will be great. And looking forward to seeing hopefully a ton of new faces on the field.
Yeah, it's Friday night game. I believe they have a ticket deal where if you buy a ticket, you get a free hat. I think for the first 18,000 or something, or
yeah, it was a cool hat.
Whatever. It looks like a cool retro hat. Hopefully, it doesn't have like a sponsor logo on it. But if it does, it's a free hat. But Yeah, 7 o'clock Friday night. It's a game where, like you said, not real concerned about the score. Get out of there healthy, and this is time to build your depth before you head out west to a UCLA team who looks very, very beatable after they squeaked one out over Hawaii last night. But yeah, it's you look to go 2-0, and hopefully when you return home for the Charlotte game on the 21st, that you're sitting at 3-0. So keep coming back to HoosierHuddle.com. We have all the preview stuff, all the wrap up for the win over Florida International. We will have a lot of stuff on Western Illinois. I did find some good stuff on Western Illinois in our first glance previews. As always, like, rate, and subscribe to YouTube channel and wherever you get your podcasts. And enjoy the rest of your week. It's a short week until game day.